Hey,
what's good, guys? Redman here, and today we back at it again with my boy Ali. Yeah, we back again with another reaction video, bro. I'm not hype. Anyways, disturbing last found footage of missing persons.
On the night of May 27, 2018, 20-year-old Spencer Mugford met up with his friend Sophia McKenna in the parking lot of the University of Connecticut Avery Point, where Spencer was a student. At the time, Sophia was in a toxic and abusive relationship with a guy named Austin Cordova, which had gotten worse in the months leading up to that night in May. According to Sophia's mom, Austin was seeing someone else while he was still dating Sophia, after which Sophia also decided to date other guys. When Austin found out, he went to Sophia's apartment and tried to kick down the door, allegedly threatening to end her
she's ending her life. Hold on, my fault.
life. It was after this incident that Sophia started to spend a lot of her time around Spencer Mugford, whom she had met while working at a local spa. They dated for a while, but it didn't take long before they decided to go back to just being friends. A couple of weeks later, Spencer took on another job on a charter boat, taking people out on the water for half-day fishing trips. That night in May, Spencer and Sophia met at the parking lot and got in a mastless sailboat they took from the university campus and headed toward the New London Ledge Lighthouse, a popular tourist attraction in Connecticut that's known as one of the creepiest buildings in the state. A little after 1 a.m., Sophia used Spencer's phone to upload a video to his Snapchat story, where he can be seen paddling on the water aboard the tiny mastless sailboat.
Yo, we're out here in the ocean with us. That is the land. Like, we still have to get to there. Wait, where? Oh, we're almost there.
In the video, Sophia points the phone to the shore and jokingly emphasizes how long they still have left to get to the lighthouse, and the two friends seem in pretty good spirits as they travel toward the lighthouse. A few minutes later, at around 2 a.m., after finally arriving at the New London Ledge Lighthouse, Spencer posted a picture of Sophia in front of a no trespassing sign to his Snapchat. That was the last time either of them was ever seen again.
Damn! Now, we like exploring abandoned places and like other things. I'm gonna be honest, going out into the open, like for a person that can't swim, I ain't doing that.
The next day, Austin reached out to Sophia's mother, Michelle, and said that he was worried because he hadn't heard from her, though they had plans to go shopping. That's when Michelle realized she had a bunch of missed calls from an unknown number from 2:05 a.m. to 2:09 a.m. the previous evening. And when she called the unknown number back, she realized it was Spencer's cell phone. Fearing the worst, Michelle reported her daughter missing, and at around 6 p.m. that same day, the Coast Guard launched an official search, during which they found Sophia's car parked at the Yukon parking lot with her phone still inside, which would explain why she used Spencer's phone to call her mother.
Okay, the reason why I was doing that with my mouth, bruh, is because I was hungry. So don't judge!
The evening prior. The Coast Guard also found Spencer's shirt tied to a boat cleat on the dock of the New London Ledge Lighthouse, which meant that he had probably used his shirt to dock the sailboat, except the sailboat was no longer there. While all of this was happening, Austin and his dad decided to start their own private search for Sophia and Spencer, and as they were flying over the water, they spotted the Yukon sailboat flipped upside down near Truman's Beach on the north shore of Long Island, around 13 miles from the lighthouse. Strangely, they found a series of unidentified fingerprints on the sailboat, which were never analyzed. On May 28th, just one day after the disappearance, the Coast Guard suspended the search due to the harsh weather, with plans to relaunch the search if they found or heard anything new that could help them track down the missing two. On June 8th, 11 days after the disappearance, Spencer's body was found floating in the ocean by a fisherman, pretty much in the opposite direction from the sailboat that Austin and his father had found a few days earlier. Both alcohol...
Wait, what? What did he find?
Days after the disappearance, Spencer's body was found floating in the ocean by a fisherman, pretty much in the opposite direction from the sailboat that Austin and his father had found a few days earlier. Both alcohol and THC were found in Spencer's system. Even though the official cause of death was labeled as accidental drowning with no signs of human-induced trauma, it didn't take long for people...
What was it?
So while he was doing all that, he was drinking and smoking.
Probably, but...
That's what they said.
I know, but I'm saying like even if you're drunk, I think, I don't know. I ain't drunk, you know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, even if you're drunk, don't you have like still like, you could still like recollection of what you're doing?
I mean, yeah, of course, yeah. Depending
And
on
they
how
said there was
drunk you are.
different random fingerprints that they did not know who to identify as. Feel me? So we don't even know. Might be a
Well, to
third
start
person.
coming up with some dark theories as to why Spencer had drowned while Sophia's body hadn't been found. On July 22nd, 2018, the Facebook group Finding Sophia McKenna was formed, where people came together to try to piece the puzzle of Sophia's disappearance. Although the cause of Spencer's death was pretty clear, it seemed strange to a lot of people that the search had been called off so quickly, and that Spencer's phone records were never released. It also seemed a little suspicious that the fingerprints on the sailboat hadn't been analyzed, and that Sophia hadn't called 911 on the night of the disappearance, even though she clearly needed help. The heap of unanswered questions made a lot of people point fingers at Austin, alleging that he had somehow murdered Spencer and later took Sophia to another location before murdering her as well. As of August 2024, there isn't much evidence to support this theory, and even Sophia's mother claims she never believed Austin was responsible despite their troubled relationship. Based on the information that surfaced during the investigation, it's very likely that the sailboat became untied and started floating away at some point in the night, and that Spencer may have drowned trying to bring it back to the dock. But what happened after this is anyone's guess. One of the most popular theories that spread online was that after Spencer drowned, Sophia was left alone at the lighthouse screaming for help. According to this theory, a lone boater may have stopped to offer help and then kidnapped Sophia to either murder her or sell her to traffickers. This is a pretty unlikely theory, especially because the chances of another boater going out to the lighthouse so late in the night are pretty slim, but there's no definitive evidence to prove this isn't what happened. Another theory that was thrown around on TikTok and Facebook was that Spencer and Sophia had allegedly gotten into an argument at the lighthouse, which led to both of their deaths. However, to me this is even more unlikely than the lone boater theory, as the two appeared to be really good friends and didn't have a history of violence. I mean, if you look at the Snapchat video that was uploaded to Spencer's story.
Okay, so I know this was that was a theory, but for the people that like, you see how like, let's say you're in trouble or some shit, like you're screaming for help.
Yeah.
The people that have like the dumbest mentality, bro, like, oh, nobody's around, they need help, I'm gonna go take them, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go sell them to trafficking and all that. First of all, how the hell do you sell someone to trafficking, bro? You go to a traffic stop, yo, hey,
Just a few minutes before the calls took place, it's pretty clear that they enjoy each other's presence, and something very unexpected would have had to have happened to result in such a tragic accident. As of today, the exact cause of Sophia's disappearance is still unknown, though the cops and Sophia's family now fully believe that Spencer drowned while trying to bring back the sailboat, and Sophia probably didn't want to call 911 out of fear of getting in trouble for trespassing. It's impossible to know if she drowned while trying to rescue her friend, if she fell into the water by accident, or if something else happened to her while she was alone at the lighthouse.
Damn.
Nancy Ng. October 2023, a group of 12 Americans traveled to Guatemala for a Be the Change yoga retreat next to the beautiful Lake Atilan, the deepest lake in Central America. Among those 12 people was 29-year-old Nancy Ng, a California woman who had been to the same retreat the previous year with the same instructor and had enjoyed it so much that she decided to go again in 2023. At around 10:30 a.m. on October 19, 10 people from the group went kayaking in Lake Atilan. Before paddling to the middle of the lake, a video was taken of the entire retreat group where Nancy could be seen waving at the camera as she paddled a few feet from the shore. She seemed happy as she made her way to join the rest of the group, but sadly, this is footage of the last time Nancy was ever seen. After the video ended, everyone in the group paddled in separate directions, with Nancy kayaking toward the middle of the lake along with Christina Blazek, another woman from California. What happens next depends on who you ask, but according to the owners of the kayak rental company, the group came back from the excursion a few minutes later, with a lot of them looking pretty nervous and on edge. That's when they noticed the group had one less person. Nancy hadn't come back. Strangely, nobody in the group seemed to want to talk to the owners. As per the owner's testimony, the retreat goers went home as quickly as they could, failing to even pay for the kayaks or provide an explanation as to what happened to Nancy. According to witnesses, Christina Blazek looked visibly shaken and had to be calmed down by the rest of the group as they made their way back home. This is where things start to get a little weird. Even though the group wasn't scheduled to go back to the US for a few more days, they all pushed up their departure and went back home just 8 hours after the excursion. According to
Damn.
Eduardo Ramad, the organizer of the Be the Change retreat, the group immediately reported the disappearance to the Guatemalan police. But according to the cops themselves, the group took almost 24 hours to notify them that Nancy had gone missing. Strangely, when Eduardo first notified Nancy's family of the incident, Nancy had gone missing. But according to the cops themselves, the group took almost 24 hours to notify them that Nancy had gone missing.
Damn, 24
Strangely,
hours?
when
They took 24 hours.
Took him a whole day to find out.
No. You know what I'm thinking right now? So my theory is, they probably saw her either, like, you know, her kayak flipped,
Yeah.
and she drowned.
Mm-hmm.
She was drowning and nobody could help her because probably none of them could swim or something like that.
Yeah.
They probably like got rid of her or something. Because why would you, like, let's say someone in your team is gone, you're gonna travel all the way. You're not even gonna pay for your kayak. They didn't even pay for this. They left immediately to the U.S.
Damn.
Yeah, 8 hours in.
Yeah.
8 hours in and they left.
Yeah.
And then they waited a whole day just to notify the cops.
Yeah.
So they probably did something fishy.
When Eduardo first notified Nancy's family of the incident, he didn't specify that Nancy had gone missing in the lake. Instead, he tried to get away with vaguely implying that she wasn't coming back, which led Nancy's family to initially believe that she was planning on permanently relocating to Guatemala. By that time, the Guatemalan police had already launched a search for Nancy, but after 72 hours, the search was suspended, leaving Nancy's family to fund the rest of the investigation themselves. While all of this was happening, Nancy's family tried to reach out to Christina Blazek, as she was allegedly the last person who saw Nancy missing. But she refused to talk to the family and took an entire month to give her statement through her lawyer once she was back in the US. According to Christina, she and Nancy had crossed paths at the deepest part of the lake as they were about to head back to the shore. Out of nowhere, Nancy decided to hop out of the kayak to go for a swim. The water was pretty rough, and Lake Atitlan is over 1,000 feet deep, which is why Christina allegedly cautioned Nancy against going in the water. But based on Christina's statement, Nancy didn't listen to her and jumped off her kayak at the deepest part of the lake, leaving her kayak to float away in the strong current. Sensing that Nancy was about to be in serious trouble, Christina paddled as hard as she could to retrieve the kayak and bring it back to her, but by the time she got back to where her friend was swimming, Nancy was gone. Refusing to put herself in danger to rescue Nancy, who was now submerged under the strong currents of Lake Atitlan, Christina reportedly paddled back to the shore screaming for help, but by the time she made it back, it was too late. Strangely, the Guatemalan police said Christina gave them her statement about the incident and was very forthcoming with them, but when Nancy's family reached out to the Guatemalan authorities, they couldn't find any records of Christina's statement on their files. At this time, allegations started being thrown around that Nancy had never been offered a life jacket before she went on her kayak. But the owners of the kayak rental company went on record to clarify that that was completely false, and that the only reason Nancy could be seen without a life jacket in the video was that she decided not to take one. Because Christina refused to talk to the victim's family, they took matters into their own hands and did something that was honestly pretty messed up. They revealed Christina's name publicly and accused her of withholding information from them. As soon as they did that, Christina started receiving death threats from people all over the world. The case garnered a ton of attention on TikTok and Facebook, with dozens of internet sleuths leaking Christina's address and cell phone to threaten her and make her life a living nightmare. As the case gained more and more traction online, some of the wildest theories started to get thrown around, with many people alleging that Nancy had been murdered by her retreat group in a cult sacrifice or as a part of an elaborate hate crime on account of Nancy's Asian descent. What's really strange about this case is how different everyone's testimony is about how the group acted when they realized Nancy was missing. If they had acted a little more transparently, it honestly wouldn't be too hard to believe that everything Christina said was true, but because they acted so shady and stayed silent for so long after the incident, it's understandable why everyone on the internet accused them of hiding something. As of today, many witnesses still haven't given their statements, and there are even allegations that the group bribed the Guatemalan police to let them leave the country early, but there's no definitive proof that this really happened. My personal opinion is that Christina is probably telling the truth and that the group most likely didn't have anything to do with Nancy's death. I'm not justifying the way they acted, but to a certain extent, it's understandable that they'd be nervous after the incident, considering that they were in a foreign country where they didn't speak the language and didn't know how the police would react to Christina's version of the events. Still, their suspicious behavior leaves a lot of room for doubt. Hopefully, more information will continue to surface on Nancy's disappearance, but for the time being, this case will have to remain a mystery. Patricia Meehan. On April 20th, 1989, a woman named Peggy Bueller drove down a dark country town in Montana named Circle. Suddenly, she
Montana,
saw a
damn
woman
it.
driving in her lane on the wrong side of the road, heading straight toward her at a pretty high speed.
Yeah.
Peggy swerved and was fortunately able to avoid crashing head-on. Unfortunately, Carol White, the woman in the car
That was
behind
sick.
Peggy, wasn't as fortunate.
Yeah.
Carol had witnessed the near miss just seconds earlier and had attempted to swerve out of the way as well, but was struck head-on by the woman driving the wrong way. Shocked from the crash and understandably a little dazed, Carol stepped out of the car and tried to find the woman who had caused the accident. A few seconds later, a blonde woman in her mid-30s crawled out of her wrecked vehicle and stood on the side of the road. According to Carol, the woman didn't say anything. She just stared at her with a blank expression. Shortly after, Peggy Bueller looped back around to make sure everyone was okay after the accident, and that's when she saw the blonde woman climb over a fence running parallel to the highway. In her
What?
witness
The
statement,
blind
Peggy
woman
said,
climbed-
"As I looked
climbing
out
the
across
fence?"
the accident, I noticed someone on the other side of the fence, standing there like a spectator, not like it had happened to her." By the time the cops arrived, the blonde woman was, but they managed to identify her thanks to her license plates as 38-year-old Patricia Meehan, a resident of Bozeman, Montana, where she worked as a rancher in the summer. For 5 days, the police combed the area with dogs and helicopters, but found no signs of Patricia, only a series of footprints about a
So this
mile
whole time
away
they
from the
looking
crash
for her?
site that eventually
Huh?
So this
disappeared.
whole time they looking for her?
According to police reports, Patricia had been on her way to her
Sorry, say that again?
I said this whole time they looking for her?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, how long was it? Oh, from 3 a.m. to the
crash
morning?
site that eventually disappeared.
Damn.
According to police reports, Patricia had been on her way to her parents' house in Pittsburgh before the crash. Interestingly, the cops later found that Patricia had spoken to her parents on the day before the crash and had told them that she was under a lot of stress and wanted to move back in with them for a while. Because Patricia was a pretty stable woman and didn't have any problems with alcohol or drugs, her parents were caught off guard at the request, but accepted under the conditions that she see a therapist before moving back in with them. So, before heading to her parents' house, Patricia scheduled an appointment the following day with a specialist and prepared to make the trip to Pittsburgh. It's unknown why she passed through the town of Circle, which isn't exactly on the way to Pittsburgh from Bozeman, but it's possible she may have gotten lost. With no real leads other than Patricia's identity and her family's statements, the cops tried to find a viable explanation as to where she could have gone. After a while, they narrowed it down to two possible theories. Either Patricia had hitched a ride after disappearing into the darkness, or she stowed away on a hay truck that the cops had seen a little more than a mile from the crash site. This is where things get a little strange. Over the next few days, a bunch of people started calling the cops, claiming that they had seen Patricia Meehan at different truck stops and diners along I-70, acting dazed and confused and asking strangers for rides. By the end of June that year, more than 25 sightings had been reported to Patricia's parents, who had both traveled to Montana in hopes of finding their missing daughter. Interestingly, a lot of people who claimed to have seen Patricia verified that it was her when her parents showed them pictures and videos of her, but every single one of them had failed to report the missing woman to the actual cops. It was as if she was doing everything to stay one step ahead of the cops and her parents, even in her seemingly confused state. In the fall of that year, more and more sightings and reports of Patricia started surfacing. In September, Patricia allegedly hitched a ride from a woman in Victor, Montana, who offered to let her stay with her and her husband for the night. The next day, they dropped her off at a truck stop to bring her closer to some friends she said she was visiting in another part of the state, and by the time the couple realized they had a wanted missing woman on their hands, Patricia was gone. While all of this was happening, Patricia's parents found a roll of undeveloped film in one of her cameras, where they found a pretty haunting self-portrait that was taken shortly before the accident and disappearance. In it, Patricia can be seen staring at the mirror with a vacant expression and a camera between her hands. As far as we know, this was the last time Patricia was ever photographed. As of today, at least 100 people have reported seeing Patricia Meehan since her disappearance, but the authorities haven't managed to locate her. With the extremely bizarre nature of the case, everyone from the cops to internet sleuths to the general public has been left wondering what on earth could have happened to Patricia, and this has obviously given rise to all kinds of theories to explain her disappearance. According to one of the most popular ones, Patricia may have suffered from amnesia after the crash, which is possible when you consider the state of mind she was in before she made the trip to Pittsburgh. Multiple psychologists have weighed in to explain that a period of intense stress combined with a potential head injury could have resulted in full-on amnesia, which hauntingly could have made Patricia want to travel across the state in a desperate search for her lost memories. This would explain her dazed and confused behavior, but doesn't explain how she managed to elude the authorities after over 100 people across the country allegedly saw her and interacted with her. One of the darker theories is that Patricia caused the accident on the road on purpose to take her own life, which explains why she would take a detour to Circle instead of taking a more direct route to Pittsburgh. Although this is definitely possible considering she was depressed, it begs the question of why she would schedule an appointment with a therapist in Pittsburgh if she was planning on taking her own life just a few hours later. According to other sources, Patricia may never have hitched a ride from anyone and potentially just wandered off into the woods before drowning in a nearby body of water. This would be extremely strange considering that so many people pretty much swore on their lives that they had seen the exact woman in the pictures Patricia's parents showed them.
Damn.
But stranger things have happened, and a couple of detectives have mentioned this is definitely possible. Because the incident happened so long ago, it's unlikely we'll ever know what happened to Patricia Meehan, and this will probably just have to remain one of the strangest, most haunting unsolved disappearances in history.
So what, she went from going to a therapist to becoming a myth to becoming a ghost. Nah, appreciate y'all so much for watching, and appreciate my cousin here for helping me out with this video. And I'ma see you guys in the next one. I appreciate you.